Today on Doctors on Air, we'll be talking about the generation risk, youth, drugs, and the mental health crisis. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have both of you here with us today.
Nice to be here.
On the program, we have Professor Alero Roberts, public health physician, and Dr. Dokun Adedeji, who is a rehabilitation physician.
Maybe that's no way to put it.
It's a pleasure to have both of you here, and if we can just kick off talking a bit about the scale of the problem.
Mm.
Prof, can you just start off telling us what's the situation here in Nigeria?
It is actually quite dire. It's probably one of the most urgent public health crises we have going on in Nigeria right now, because you're talking about three major components. You're talking about youth, anything from say age 10 to 35, 39, I would say. You're talking about drugs, both illegal and legal.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a mental health crisis, and each of these individually is a problem. Combine it and you've got a real triple whammy going on here.
You know, I call it an epidemic from the scale of what I've seen. The statistics are
Mind-boggling.
as you said, mind-boggling.
Absolutely mind-boggling.
Absolutely.
And underreported.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely. Because when it was first stated in 2018, they thought we had the positive a prevalence rate of 14.4. But by 2020, although no assessment was done, but from estimation, Oliver Stoff, who was the UNODC director, then said the Nigerian youth had gone to about 20 to 25 million people.
I don't understand.
So
20 to 25
20 to
million
25 million
Nigerians
Nigerians who had used
who are young.
and
who are
doing
young.
drugs. You know,
And are using.
yes, the statistics was, the age differential there was 15 to 64 from the research done.
Yes.
But again, I said,
We're now finding that them in
eight.
pre-secondary
10
school.
young people.
8 years old.
Oh yes,
Yes.
I've seen.
Yes.
Not that they told me, I've seen. I've even taken photographs with some of them who started use it. And you know, there's no way they won't use, because there are too many things to use. Too many things. But
So when we talk about, let's start again with what is being used and who is using what. Because when you hear statistics like 10-year-olds,
yeah.
what on earth are they doing? So what kind of substances are we talking about here?
I'm sure we are finding cannabis.
Yeah.
It's very widely
It's
used.
the most used.
In the urban areas, we're finding more of the substances like codeine, tramadol,
Opioids.
cough syrup, opioids.
Yeah.
In the rural areas, we're finding locally brewed substances. There's one that is a locally brewed crystal meth.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We will have a local name for it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's the Igbo name.
That's the Igbo name.
Mary.
Yes. And it's there, and you've got so many situational factors that are driving the use. That's why we're seeing it in earlier and earlier ages.
What are these situations?
Just as Prof said, from the statistics done, they found out of the 40.4% prevalence rate translated to about 14 to 15 million Nigerians then.
Then
They found out about 11 million of the 14 use cannabis.
yes.
Okay.
And then the opioids from the legal ones, prescribed in the hospital, for instance. And then the ones that will shock you are the ones that they concocted. For instance, some of them wake up in the morning and go to pit latrines. And then they inhale it or soak away.
And soakaways.
And then there is one in the north they call zakami. It's a naturally occurring seed. It's extremely
This pit latrine one.
yeah.
Who goes to the pit latrine to and inhale?
Oh yeah, the same people.
Yeah.
The same people.
It gives them the
high.
the escape they're looking for.
Yes. Because
And that's what the addiction is all about.
if you don't have money, then you look for something that you can contend with.
But it's free. Yes,
It's free. You don't
free.
go. Sock away is free.
It's free.
If you also want those guys who get things on the dunghill, they'll build something like a mound, and then put fire to it, and then it brings the same methane, and then they stay around it, and then they inhale it. I even saw it in Kenya as well. When I went to Kibera, around anywhere where there's slum or something, you see all this kind of
see those kinds of
A student told me one that surprised me. He was in a rehab center, government rehab center. They didn't have the opportunity of getting the drugs. They concocted their own.
inside the center.
Inside the place, they got dongoyaro and soaked it in methylated spirit.
And
that was it. I've seen somebody who scrapes Farijera from the wall.
Yes.
They wrap it up and then, anything that gives them a sense of high, they concoct all kinds of things.
So it's not so much the substances anymore, because there's no way you're going to be able to. How do you
can't
stop
control it.
growing? How do you prevent methane gas from developing in the pituitary? What we need to be looking at is what are the contextual factors? What is causing this?
Yes.
What's driving this? Why are younger and younger people feeling so desperate that they need to get out of themselves by any means possible?
So, can I put the question back to you then? Why?
This is the thing. This is what we're finding out. We're finding out that the poverty, unemployment, the breakdown of family structure.
Absolutely.
These are all factors that are causing the youth to have that sense of despair and hopelessness.
Yes.
So that's the link to the mental health crisis we're talking about.
Yeah.
So we've taken the youth, we've gone to the substance, we're now going to the mental health issue.
Yes.
We have to now look at the mental health issues, because the mental health issues in and of themselves, we all grew up with mental health issues. And our parents had a very good way of resetting our brain. When you had a mental health crisis,
Beat it out of you.
there was the naughty corner, there was this, but the point is that there was support, there were strategies, there were coping mechanisms.
Well, Prof, what I've said to people, people don't like it. Parents need to be parents again.
Yes.
Because they're not there.
They're not.
Just not there.
They're not.
And those that are there have no inkling as to what to
What's
do.
going on?
I don't know what you think about this soft parenting, gentle parenting.
It's also from a lack of parenting.
Themselves.
Many parents
Themselves were not
they're
parenting.
just kids. Exactly.
Yes.
They're just kids and they're bringing up. Many people do not know the reason why they even got married in the first place. Maybe they're pushed to it. Maybe it's also family relationship and all that. And so there are no foundations to many things that we do.
And children are given this sense of they don't need to suffer.
Yeah.
Their actions do not have
I don't want my
consequences.
children to suffer like I suffered.
Like I suffered. I did not suffer. Yes, I suppose at that time.
Everybody suffered a little bit.
When mommy and daddy got angry, they got angry and it was painful. But
those were natural things.
That's what resets your brain, and you realize that there are certain things that are just going to happen, and you cannot always come first in the race. You can't. It's just that's just the way it's going to be. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to cry, and guess what? It's
You
okay.
get better.
You got over it.
You see, I say to people, don't make the road for the child. Prepare the child for the road. Because if you make the road, it never has. So when it gets to a gallop, he can't deal with it. But when you let him understand that life is full of all kinds of things, and then you bring them up in that manner, I think it's because parents don't really have time.
Well, why don't they have time?
They choose not to.
Exactly.
They choose not to. And also, many people want to be like the Joneses. You get domestic servant to do things for your kids. You never let them get things done themselves.
So they don't understand that life is about action and consequences.
Yes.
Deal with it. There are times when things are just, look at me today. And I found my sister and I kept saying, it is what it is. It was not an ideal situation. We certainly did not want to find ourselves in that situation. Were we going to cry about it? Were we going to moan and groan? No, we sucked it up.
Something.
And we said, well, it is what it is. We have to get through this. And we just chose not to make it an emotional trauma.
Unfortunately for these young people,
but for the lots of the young people,
we're in a time in which social interference, social media externalities are beginning to take prominence in their lives.
Exactly.
And also because there's no grounding from home. peer pressure comes in.
Exactly.
Then they fall to anything. So I think with programs like this and with people beginning to understand, each family needs to build its own family the way they want to build their family. I can't build my family in the context of yours.
But this is the thing that we're saying, because you said each family has to build their own family the way it's that family structure. And that's what I think we are seeing too much of. That breakdown.
The dysfunction within the family.
Let us also understand the dysfunction. Prof and I are saying, parents can be there. They can live with the kids and yet there'll be dysfunction.
Exactly.
That's the sad thing.
That's the sad thing.
They all live together. But look at what happens. The father goes early in the morning, mother goes early in the morning. They don't see the kids. And by weekend, when they should stay with the kids, parties. And also, one of the things that parents are doing today is that we are living our children's lives in our own. When they want to get married, you go and book hall. You never speak to them. How do you want your wedding to be? What kind of life do you want? That. And then so, in order to show your friend that you two come some money,
you now go and do something that is totally irrelevant.
I mean, look at when we were growing up. If you want to get married, they do introduction, engagement in the sitting room.
Yes, in fact, that's how it's actually even best.
Yeah.
An intimate affair. But anyway, I think the moral of the story is we need to find a way to save our generations to come.
We got it.
And the source is the family.
The source is the family.
Thank
because
you.
A lot of the parents need to realize that these short-term drug episodes cause damage down the road.
What are the consequences, the long-term health consequences of using cannabis, opioids, etc.?
One, the simplest one that is now known is psychosis.
Psychosis, otherwise known as madness. I do it for talking to lay people. What is psychosis?
No, I won't call it madness.
Okay.
Psychosis is a sudden misbehavior.
Okay.
Because if you call it madness, everybody begins to run away and it has to go to Yaba. The thing is, it induces an acute episode, which is mental, and the person begins to misbehave and act irrationally. It does not mean that cannot be corrected if it's well managed. So that's one thing that we know. And from that, it can become a schizophrenia. And that is, it can now become the insanity you are talking about, because it becomes a residential case of continuous persistent misbehavior. And the other things...
Are there physical effects as well?
Oh,
or is it only the psychological ones? Because some people think it's purely mental.
No. That can be physical. I mean, when you see somebody disabled, somebody dirty, not taking care of self, unkempt, and all those are physical. And also they're internal, physiological. It can affect the kidney, it can affect the... People can have sudden onset of cardiac arrest. I mean, from what we have seen.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Young people.
And
yes.
That's the problem, because with the younger the person is when they start with this thing, don't forget the front of the brain, what we call the prefrontal cortex, is still in its development stage.
Yeah.
That's where decision making, that's where impulse control is taking place. And the younger you are, you have less. I mean, we know what children do. You don't have that impulse control. You don't have those decision making, and then the drugs are destroying those areas of the brain. So you've got loss of impulse control. You've got poor decision making, which is being damaged. Then you don't have the cognitive growth. The child cannot learn in school.
I like that.
And that's the problem. The child cannot learn in school. No matter how much money you spend, no matter how good the school you send the child to, once they're playing with these drugs, and it starts as, like you said, peer pressure.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. Oh, let's feel cool. The big boys are doing it. We've got to get into this. And that damage is everlasting.
So
before we even get into the psychosis.
So, obviously we can't exhaust everything in this program. We've talked a bit about family, we've talked a bit, but the issue for me is I'm very distressed to hear we're talking about 8-year-olds. Who knows? For me, where are they getting it from? More importantly, how can we prevent? Is there anything that can be done?
There's a lot that can be done when you're now looking holistically at the public health aspect of it. Unfortunately, what we have found, or what the bottom line is, that the system has failed, and the system continues to fail. We have neither the staff. How many of you are there, Doc? How many rehabilitation centers? How many can you handle?
Even if you have, what about the personnel?
That's the personnel I'm talking about, sir.
So it's huge.
It's
a
huge.
lot. That's why we need to do a lot of advocacy and what you're doing now. The more we encourage people to have awareness,
and say,
then
look,
people
let's
can
stop
make
this thing in the
informed
house.
choices.
Yes.
So how can we stop it in the house? The people here, no, I'm just like, we need to talk to the parents.
Yes.
We need to talk to them. This is our opportunity. On this program, we have parents, we have grandparents. What do we need to do?
We need
how
to
do how can we
rooms. We need to, what are they doing on their phones? We need to poke our noses into our children's business every single day. You remember how Mommy used to go through our school bags? If you came home with a pencil that was not yours, it was a major issue. We need to go back to that level of parenting. Where we're watching what they say, who they're saying it to, we're watching who they hang out with, what they're bringing home, what are they watching on television, on their phones. There must be no privacy for the children, because it's in that privacy that the enemy is getting in and attacking them with this thing. We don't know. You are sitting on the phone and your child is being cyberbullied right there in your sitting room, and you have no idea that all that thumb pressing, what is going on? And suddenly the child gets up and says, Mommy, I'm coming. You have no idea if he's gone outside to get something from a drug dealer.
You see, it takes a lot of observation. And from what Prof is saying, the thing that I think the errors most parents make, they think when kids are growing up, they're kids.
They're not.
They're not. Formative years, you need to begin to follow it up from there, because the attitude, the behaviors, they internalize them. You can't take it away. And what most parents, when they say is that when he's grown up, when he's a teenager, you've lost
that child.
So we need, and the education must be from the home, in schools, PTA meetings. Get it to the parents to begin to understand. And the thing that's beginning to happen is because we also want to pose.
A lot of people are in denial.
Yeah,
I think another issue is the issue of denial.
That is true.
It's huge in our society. It's huge.
Because many you accept you have a problem.
Many people know their kids are doing drugs.
And they pretend that it's not happening.
I mean, it happened one school called a university called the dad of a boy who tested positive. The man lives outside Lagos, in Abuja. So they said, what exactly do you want me to do? You want me to travel? They say, the boy tested. Is that why you are calling me? That's why I brought him to your school, so that you can straighten him out.
Wow.
And so what do you expect?
And it's not the job of the school to
straighten out your child. Because he goes back home, he spends longer time with you than he spends in school.
So then, what's the role of rehab? How do we, because also, is there,
that's my colleague here, but rehab for me is last bus stop.
It is?
There is a long road before we get there. And if we're getting to rehab to solve the problem, I really don't hold out much hope.
I agree with you. You see, because
how many can your center hold, sir? 150? 200?
Where?
Exactly.
The center that I have is little, we have only space for 10.
He said 11 million. Do you remember? He said 11 million.
You see, because this is now what you're saying is overwhelming. It's really overwhelming. So when we talk about the generation risk, there's a massive risk. But the issue for me is, how do we tackle it?
It is. You see,
I'm turning back to our public health physician.
One by one.
One by one.
One by one. First of all, to be honest, there is a way out.
Okay.
Let me be very honest. We have enough primary healthcare centers to handle, if each primary healthcare center could handle 10 with your help and support, could handle 10, that is at least 70,000 people getting rehabilitative care. But remember what I said, rehabilitative care being the last bus stop. We need to start with the parents. We need to start with parents who are being hands-on, fathers and mothers. We need to start with the fact that we don't want children having children. That is the truth. We cannot afford to have children having children. We need parents to get back into being parents. Grandparents need to get on board with this. Do not leave your children and your children's children alone. Get into their business. Know what they're doing. He said it. By the time the child is getting to 10, 11, 12, if you haven't put some rules and regulations down, you and I both know. There are things that we look at each other, we say, oh gosh, mommy better not come and find us. We're grandmothers. But we're still saying, mommy better not come and find us. Because it's so ingrained.
It's ingrained.
Many of these children don't fear anyone.
Exactly.
There's no one they fear.
That's dangerous.
And when that's happening, and also what people should know, when dad and mom are taking decisions, if they are better be unanimous. So when the child notices that the father is different, mother is different,
they play them against each other.
That's standard child behavior.
And schools now must, when I was in college, we had guidance counseling unit. I don't know how many schools have those things now.
By the time
you guide them into what they read, and also have to help them, because some of them do have problems. They want to talk to someone.
Exactly.
They can't talk at home. It's also like in church, the teenage church. Many of the teenage leaders know much more about those children than the parents. So there are so many avenues of dealing with this. But I think the first thing to accept is that we have an issue.
That is the first thing.
As a country, we have an issue. Yeah. And then we look for the fundamental ways
that we can
deal with those things.
Some people think that, the responsibility is with government.
No. That's the last point.
I would say yes and I would say no. I love the fact that as a country, we're the most policied country in the world. There is a policy for every single health problem, including this.
But never.
But there's no implementation. And this is where government needs to step up to the plate. We need personnel. We need personnel to remain in their positions. We need teachers. We need healthcare personnel. Without health and education, you cannot. That's the twin engine of national development. And if the government does not step up to the plate and take responsibility for ensuring we have teaching and healthcare personnel, there's not much else we can do.
Prof, can I give you an example that probably may shock you? About a few years ago, in the National Assembly, they were debating about rehabilitation centers. A senator that I will not mention got up and said, let them set up a rehabilitation in each local government. Obviously, you know that he's speaking from a position of ignorance. Because how can you set up in every local government? Where is the personnel? Even our hospitals, where are the personnel?
I mean, right now we need 20,000 of you for Lagos State alone of 25 million people.
Lagos has the highest prevalence rate in Nigeria, 33%.
Yes.
So there's a lot that needs to be done.
And the government has to step up.
And unfortunately, this program has already come to an end.
Mm.
So on that note, can I ask for last words for our listeners? Prof?
Well, to be honest, substance abuse is not just an individual failing. It is a mirror reflecting societal values. And that is what we need to take care of.
I would say that this kind of program helps. Collective responsibility is what we require. It is not about that, it's not about that, it's about everyone understanding it and dealing with it.
I appreciate the insights both of you have given. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe for new video updates.